as I said in the last video, you've got your portfolio packs, alright, your studio kits, and in those you should have one of these, right? It's a Flipfile which you're going to be using for your coursework information. Each project will have about 4 pages of research, artist reference analysis, and then you'll have space to put in your final prints. Your first project has to be done digitally. So the first project, your research pages, how to make a cyanotype, how to artist research about cyanotypes, all of that has to be done digitally, so we're all understanding the foundations for Photoshop itself. All right. Later on you can change it. We will be working on a front cover at some stage. This is an example where the students started off digitally, so slightly different information that we're dealing with at the moment. Then put in summer project. Again, this is a physically made page, which in your next project you can, cutting out, sticking down. So they've decided to continue on hand done, then incorporated digital and hand layout. But it's utilising the space. It's filling up the pages as best as possible is quite important. The students did a handmade front cover and went through quite a lot of the work was hand done, but is there a need for all of this extra space? Great that we brought in the idea of texture as in a physical page, but it's about using the space wisely, and then moves on to more so digital page. And what we're going to look at now is how to set up our page correctly, and then how, again, just kind of a recap on that, and then moving forward to layout. How do we bring text into Photoshop? So if you want to come and have a look at the screen. That's going to be lovely for everybody to watch back. Okay, so we'll start off with having Photoshop ready. This time we're going to be bringing in information for Microsoft Word, so it is going to be slightly different. Create a new page, file, new, title it. So we'll type the first page for cyanotypes. And that means when we create a tab on the top section, we'll be able to see it. International paper size and A3. I don't mind if you want to have your books landscape or portrait. It's completely up to you. If it's wider, higher than it's wider, it's portrait. So it'll be standing up. If it's wider, then it's going to be landscape. So I could change it to landscape now by changing the two measurements, putting them the opposite way around. We're double checking that the resolution is 300 pixels per inch. We're also checking that it's RGB, and then we're good to go. So we've title and put it as A3. As you can see here, we talked about in the previous videos space, memory. This is 49 megabytes, so it does take up quite a lot of information. We've got our page ready. So on our memory stick in our student area, I have preset that we've got some images which should be in their cyanotype folder, and then we've got some samples the student gave us of cyanotype work. We'll open them and have them ready. Sorry, not that one. So we have that text. Just so you know, in Windows, if you grab your top, whichever one you want to be on the top, and shake it, it'll get rid of all of the other windows underneath for you. You can also use your, I think it's your shift. One second. You can use window and tab key to go through the file that you want to get to, or the screen that you want as well. But apart from that, let's continue on with this demonstration. We've got our page, we've got our cyanotype title up here, so it tells us which one. And we want to start working with text. So on our toolbar option down here, we've got our text tool, and we'll create a box. I suggest that every time you start working with text, you open up a second character. box. Over here we've got the layer, but what's really handy, if you go to the top section, you go to Windows and you open up the character box, this gives us much more option when we start working with our text. So, title, Control and A, just select all of that text. The fantastic thing about Photoshop that we've got a automatic viewing system. We don't have to keep changing it. If I click here on the font size once, I just scroll with the wheel on the mouse and we can see that it's changing. I decided, well, I've made a mistake there, I've put a capital in, I'll get rid of it by using the all caps there. If it's a title, you can switch it around. Font size, the paragraph option, which is the top tab up here, will give us central alignment if we want it. We can automatically select the color by just clicking in the color box and changing it to what we want. I think if it's sienna types, we have to go blue to start off with. Size. What's brilliant also is that you can change the layout of your text. So we got the V and the A with arrows between it, which will give us the option for increasing the distance between our letters. Instead of putting a space in between them, we can stretch them out. And then we can also change if we want to put bold on. And the other ones we have to wait till we get a couple of layers of text. Also another, click once in here, not on the word, but click to the side of the word to get into that box. And we can scroll through and pick the font type that we want, rather than having to click open each font type. If we want to underline, we can. That's basic use of this box. We've got our title. How do we bring in a body of text and work with it? So if we go to our text box again over here, and we'll create that we want this to be our text. We'll go to Word and we will select the text that we want to bring in. Over here it's obvious that it'll do spell check. We have got spell check in Photoshop as well. We don't want Control A, sorry. Highlight it, Control C, bring it across. Great, it's on a previous font. That doesn't matter because we just go Control A inside that box and select the size that we want it to be. We should know that it's within, the font type should be no smaller than 12, no for main body text, no larger than 16. You do not fill a page with big letters. So we'll go down to 15, we'll change our alignment, that it's standard layout, and we'll justify that we want to bring it to here. If you feel like, I don't want to make the font bigger, but I do want to utilize the space, go back to here and we can change the distance between each sentence. So we're actually just pushing it down. We're not leaving huge gaps, but we're using the text a bit better. Again, we don't want huge gaps between each letter, so we'll bring those in as well. So you're adjusting how it's laid out, but try and keep it similar throughout the pages. And we'll change our color type to black. We've got our text in, no bigger than 16, no smaller than 12, and it's in. If you want to check your spellings, you go Edit and check spellings in there. So if you're just not too sure, rather than jumping back and forth between Word and Photoshop. Bringing in our images, well, for the moment you're going to be doing some artist research. So we've got some sienna type samples here. Control, I'm selecting 3 of these. Control and C. So to select 3, I kept my finger on Shift each time I clicked on them. Control C, back. I've got my auto select on, and I'll go Control V. As you can see, this is made as a combined layer. only for this project, because we're bringing stuff from the internet, we can enlarge it a little bit. We do not do this for finished pieces. We've got the auto select on here, so it's whatever file layer that I click on, I'm going to move. Now, I don't want to keep those together forever, so I'll go to my mask tool, and I will, not my mask tool, my select tool, and I will just go over here for a second. If I move that, this whole thing will move, but these two will stay. But it still is set on the same layer, so I need to duplicate. Control C, Control V. Now I've created another layer of just that item. I can do that for each of those if I want, and then they become free layers that I can move them around as much as I want. Control C, Control. Now, because I'm on my select tool, it doesn't work. I have to go to my move tool to say that that's what I want. It's because I'm on the wrong layer, exactly. So going back to the layer that I should want and moving it. Very quickly, just finish this bit off. Move tool. I can now delete that, and I've got my separate ones which I can resize or change as I go along. For you to bring in your scanned images, File, Browse in Bridge. So these are the ones that are going to be scanned, and the quality is going to be much better. You're going to go to your, at the moment it's on your memory stick, but I'll have them saved onto the shared drive for you. So my one is on my memory stick. These icons are too big, so I'll scroll it down using this option down here. And these are the scanned ones. So remember, all images that you use in Photoshop, can you please open them in Bridge first to make sure you got the right ones. So grab, and will it give me the option? No. So if I drag it and bring it in, that's not the correct file type because we got that X across it. It's just a link. File, open. Pull down the tab. Move tool, drag, drop. So we can see that the scan quality for this, because it's a final piece, is only this size on an A3 page. This is your original. I don't want to increase it any more than 10%. So if I wanted to alter this, let's go and open up a new page. Let's say if I'm working on my final pieces, bring it across. Alterations that I can do to this, I could go image adjustments, levels. You might want to bring in the darker areas a little bit more. Changes to black and white if we got too far. Some of them need to be darkened, some will need to be lightened. You might want to think, actually I want to rotate that. Control T, and outside the box, if you look at those little arrows, rotate. To get it perfectly level while I'm still holding down on the mouse, I press Shift and it'll lock it into place. To duplicate that, I just keep my finger on Alt and I have Auto Select on, and I can duplicate. You might be bringing in 3 different ones, okay, making what we call a triptych across your page. If you wanted to put a black line on these, go over to your layer and just double click and you'll get what's called layer styles. And this will give you the option to alter that layer or what surrounds that layer often as well. A thing called a stroke will give you the option to put a black line around it. Before I click on the box, I always click on the word to bring me to the stroke section. If I just click on the box and tick on it, then it'll just do it, but it won't give me any of the editing options. So just to show you what a stroke is, if we look at this one up here, oh, it's not that one, it's the one below. This is the layer that I'm on. Don't have a stroke. If you want it to be a thin line, don't have a stroke any larger than 4 or 5 maybe at the maximum. You could also do drop shadow. Go to the, click on the layer and drop shadow, click on the word, brings you to it, and it'll give you the option to put shadow in as well. Subtle effects are better than dramatic ones. So we've had a look at how to create a page. So if I push that up there and change my tabs, this is how we bring text in, how we can create a title, how we can create a window character box to let us be more creative with our text, how to bring images in from Word. It's up to you how you lay it out. If I wanted to put a box behind this, I would go and I would select my shape tool. It's on square at the moment, but if I drag anything out on the toolbar with a little arrow beside it, it'll give me more options. So with here I've got text option by dragging it out. I'm going to go to my here, and we've got different shapes that are preset. I'm going to make a square to put underneath the text. It's gone on top, that's fine. I can change the colour straight away if I want, just to a light grey, just to change the page a little bit, a light blue. Once you've got this ink tool, you can then go somewhere else on your page and see if you can select the colour as well. So I want to change that colour, so I'll go in here, double clicked on that colour there, and I'm now going to select this colour. Don't like it, it's too dark, I'll go for this one. So selecting the colour from somewhere else on the page. It's on top now, it's too harsh, so I'm going to this option here which is called opacity. I click in there and I use a wheel on my mouse and scroll down just to make it a bit more, I think, translucent or transparent. We'll leave it there. It's still on top of my text. All I do is grab this, keep my finger on the mouse and move it down below the text. I'll go to my text layer now, and I think actually I want to change that to white. Highlight it all, click on my text color, go to white, change it to bold, and we have it in white on a light background. Okay, lots of different things. What I want to see when you're creating your pages is creativity, that it looks comfortable and that we're not wasting space, but at the same time we have to balance that we're not putting too much information in. The final pieces can be worked on. We will be looking at introducing maybe some more colours at a later stage to them.